Hey everybody, I am back and I have to candidly say that the NFL needs to get a major league handle on refereeing and this rash of game changing, game deciding, obviously bad calls that send people through the roof. If the NFL doesn't get a handle on this and yet invites gambling into the mainstream of business operations in the league, it could lead ultimately to the largest class action lawsuit in sports history not too far down the road. Because with money as tight as it is, and all of these avenues opening up, and even more for gambling dollars to go where they've never been before, particularly into the pockets of people who are producing sports events that the common fan has been trained to think of as an undetermined outcome, but may very well be a predetermined outcome. With that dynamic developing, people should be very, very concerned in the NFL that referees don't, at any point in the future, decide the outcome of a contest in a controversial way. Because what we saw Monday night on Monday Night Football was a travesty. Trey Flowers victimized by the same referee call for illegal use of hands to the face, when it was obvious that he was pushing the shoulder pads of his Green Bay Packers offensive lineman opponent and not his face mask. And guys going back like that, okay? Like this, as opposed to this. You don't see this, okay? Now, one can make an argument that he shouldn't be lifting him like that, but it's within the rules. And you can't, as an NFL owner, as an NFL referee, you're not supposed to try and make up your own rules within the rules and call the game your own way that is really outside the rules, but you're taking a chance that you think people aren't going to recognize it. So what happens then when they do? Am I making sense? Let me say it another way. The NBA was plagued with people like this, the Tim Donahues, who had money on games and made calls based on their own personal financial interests and not calls based on the action in the contest. Big difference. Why is it that the NFL is allowing an environment to evolve that could very well give the picture that the NFL has been afflicted by the same type of disease of corruption? Who is to say that the disease of corruption did not invade the NFL last year and reared its ugly head during the NFC Championship game at the Superdome, pitting the visiting New Orleans Saints against, the visiting LA Rams against the host New Orleans Saints in New Orleans? I described that contest initially what sounded like a mistake, because what I was thinking about in my head was the news that the referees that officiated that game were from Southern California. So, from that perspective alone, the game might as well have been in Los Angeles. and the Saints might as well have been the visitors. You see, it was in the back of my head. Wow. You can bet the commissioner is going to get questions on that problem on Wednesday. Which leads to this. You might be wondering what the schedule for the NFL annual fall meeting 2019 this year is. Now, it's only 2 days. And I might add, it's 2 short days, okay? Used to be the fall meetings and the spring league meetings were 3-day affairs, but they've gotten shorter. This one starts tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern and it goes to 5. That's for the media. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have meetings that go on after that. It's going to be at the Ritz-Carlton in Fort Lauderdale. Then on the next day, which is Wednesday, October 16th, it only go from 8:30 in the morning to 12:30 p.m. and that's it. Now, when you have an owners meeting that short, it spells the possibility that they might even shorten it. It depends. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the owners, they get through their chores, if you will, very quickly. And the owners then say, okay, we're done. We're going to leave today. That has happened. That's happened a number of times. Happened to me. Young Pharaoh, how you doing? Young Pharaoh sheepishly asks, Young Pharaoh, you don't have to sheepishly ask any question. But Young Pharaoh asks if we can talk Chargers. Of course. Hey, Young Pharaoh, why don't you start off by asking a Chargers-related question? How's that? Because I can talk about the Chargers from a number of perspectives, but I don't know what's in your head. Board says, hi, San Diego reporting in. Hey, Comic-Con! Woohoo! How you doing? So, Young Pharaoh, the floor is yours. What are you saying? What's in your mind? What are you thinking about, Young Pharaoh? What's your question? Young Pharaoh, how do you feel about the viability of Chargers in LA? That's a great question. First of all, the Chargers are paying no rent. Well, $1, okay. That's a big deal. There's a $650 million franchise fee, yeah, but that's actually spread out over, it's not paid out all once. No, it's amortized. Okay? So if it's 650 million, you could say, okay, 650 million divided by 10, that's 65 million a year, right? And then the owners could turn around and say, okay, we'll take that out of your visiting team share revenue in addition to the loan, right? The loan really is, the loan is doubled. So they could amortize it over a 20-year period, thereabouts, 15, 20 years, maybe 10 years, 15 or 20 years. When you start to look at the amortization, the seemingly large fee from perspective of revenue throw-off sounds like it's doable, right? But and therein lay the problem for the Chargers. The personal seat license money they pay does not go in the Chargers' pocket just, for extra. It goes in and it can be used, part of it is used generally for construction. So if the Chargers are falling short, that's money that has to be replaced either by the NFL or Stan Kroenke. Now, this, I believe, is where it comes to play that the NFL had granted Mr. Kroenke debt assistance. This was a year ago. around the time that it was originally announced that the original cost of the stadium was supposed to be around what, 4 billion, just south of 4 billion, like, just a little 3.5, 3.8 billion, right? Then it went up. Now it's over 5 billion. They made a number of adjustments for adding better earthquake resistant frame framework. Excuse me for being inarticulate. For making the stadium quake safe. All right. That was the primary change. And what saved Mr. Kroenke was the fact that he's got, look, he doesn't have just one team. He's got four of the most major teams in sport. And he can take the money from Arsenal, which he also owns, and then bring it over to use it for the Rams. Let's, again, do a little recap of the teams that Mr. Kroenke owns. Oh, let me see here. Kroenke sports teams owned. Okay. Thank you. Young Farrell mentions the Nuggets. I'm trying to get the full rundown here. Okay. He is the owner of Kroenke Sports Entertainment, which is the holding company of English Premier League football club Arsenal, the Los Angeles Rams in the NFL, the Denver Nuggets in the NBA, the Colorado Avalanche in the NHL, the Colorado Rapids in Major League Soccer, the Colorado Mammoth of the North National Lacrosse League, and the who else? And the newly formed Los Angeles Gladiators of what is called the Overwatch League. So that's six teams he owns. Not one, six, okay? So let's recap. He owns Arsenal, the Rams, the Nuggets, the Avalanche, the Rapids, the Mammoth, and the Gladiators. That's seven. That's 7 teams, 7 sports teams. So he can take his revenue from all the other ones and apply that revenue toward the stadium in Los Angeles. Conversely, he can take the money from that, apply it elsewhere. There's no rule to stop him. And I'm not saying that to say that there should be. I don't believe in legislating out creativity and financing, among other things. Okay? So my point is, Stan's got enough money to weather that storm. The question is purely one for Dean Spanos. Does he want to be a loss leader in somebody else's stadium, or risk gaining, and I say this, risk gaining revenue in San Diego? See, the question for Dean is this. He's got a lease. He stands to spend very little money there and make money. So yeah, he's not gaining money on PSLs, but look, the PSLs are for construction. People forget that. That's construction money. If Kroenke is willing to pay that, then Dean is fine. You would say, what does Dean bring to the table that Stan wants? Well, it's an additional sponsor. Look, what he brings, because, hey, look, Stan, if I think the law allowed him, would say, look, I'll own 2 NFL teams. I'll own both the Rams and the Chargers, if he was able to do that, okay? So ask yourself this question. What's the value of having the additional team? The answer is this: higher sponsor dollars. How do you think he was able to score 1.5 billion, more than what the Raiders have scored for all of their sponsors combined in just 2. SoFi, American Airlines. American Airlines is set to pay $900 million just for its name on the field. I don't mean indoor field, I mean the grounds, okay? American Airlines. SoFi, standard naming rights. That's 1.5 billion total. That's crazy. So Stan can just literally sit back and, well, he's not sitting back, but he's working with Jerry Jones and devise all of these different ways to gain additional revenue that also benefit Dean and his franchise. Dean could then turn around and cash out to someone else who wants to rebrand it. Now, the question is, again, the only way it's worth it for Dean to want to return to San Diego is if he has a financial deal that allows him the same kind of flexibility that he has in LA. That's the only way. What people, including myself, have to be reminded of is something that Jerry Jones said when he got the NFL Hall of Fame, or was inducted in the Hall of Fame, 2 years ago. And he said this, okay? He said, pure and simple. You might remember this 32 Assassin. Jerry Jones, pure and simple, said that only 7%, not 70, not 17, 7% of NFL revenues come from ticket sales. That's it. 7%. 7. Okay, that's it. 7%. You want a fantastic example of what that means? Look no further than your Los Angeles should-be San Diego Chargers. That, folks, is the closest we're coming to a studio football team in the world. Did anyone see that picture where you have the lone San Diego Chargers girl fan and all these Pittsburgh Steelers dudes around? Like, okay? That was pathetic. Look, if you're a Chargers fan, it was pathetic. If you were a Steelers fan, it was hilarious. If I'm an NFL exec, I'm concerned. Because my question is, well, what's the stadium going to look like for the Chargers? The new stadium, when the Chargers play, are they going to be able to fill it up? Young Farrell was at the game. Young Farrell, what did you think about what you saw? Young Farrell says that he was at the game as a sad Chargers fan. Or maybe Young Farrell was really the she, and Young Farrell was actually the woman that we saw surrounded by Steelers people, fans. Cowboy Rush says, by the way, Las Vegas isn't the West Coast, so stop, please. You're right. It's not, but it's close. It's treating itself as the West Coast. Young Farrell says the original plan was 3 teams in Southern California being an expansion team in Los Angeles and adding 1 team to London and keeping the Chargers in San Diego. I never actually bought that one. And the reason I didn't is because I've always been skeptical of how good the LA market really was. I still believe that the LA market is being oversold. That the NFL is there more to have a place as opposed to Los Angeles being this truly powerful market. I mean, I've heard tales of the Chargers paying fans to go to games, actors being hired to go to games and that sort of thing, because they want to make it look for television like, oh, this is a popular market. But when I think of Los Angeles, I think of the same cost of living problems that plague Oakland and the Bay Area, and the housing issues and the same problems regarding non-tech jobs paying well. Okay? So I'm not sold on the idea that Los Angeles is the NFL savior. That happened for one reason, because the owners saw that Steve Ballmer paid $2 billion for the Los Angeles Clippers and significantly upped the value of the NBA and made in one fell swoop the NBA a viable competitor from a standpoint of franchise value to the National Football League. The difference in franchise value between the league and the NBA, the gap is closed dramatically. As Roland Dub says, earthquake. Or are you telling me there's an earthquake going on where you're at right now? But 32 Assassin says, as of August article on Saturday afternoon, the San Diego State University Athletics Department released renderings of what they hope the 35,000 seat stadium they want to build in Mission Valley. Yeah, what earthquake, Roland Dubs? Anyway, Young Pharaoh says they will not. The Chargers will not be able to fill ever the Inglewood Stadium. You think the Rams will be able to? I'm wondering. 32 Assassin says as of August. Now I understand that sales are going, or suites are going well, and everything else, right? But look, no one's going to tell you if things aren't going well. You have to dig for yourself and find out the truth. And the state of media today is such that digging is not done by a lot of people. Okay. And when digging is done, it's generally by some journalist that doesn't like somebody else. A dynamic that in and of itself diminishes the research, because the person isn't researching just to find out what the heck is, how things are working, right? They're researching because they don't like somebody, which means that they're not acting from a perspective of the objectivity. Now, I never said I was a journalist. I'm a blogger. I am by nature. Bloggers are by nature not objective. Bloggers have take a position, you know the position, and you go in with that. So when you come here, you expect a certain point of view. My job is to tell you what my point of view is, and hey, if I'm changing, my job is to tell you I've changed my mind. And my job is to tell you why I changed my mind. I think that is a more honest form of media than what you have been brainwashed to believe exists. Because in point of fact, the type of journalism I'm talking about really never existed. 32 Assassin says the San Diego Tribune story posted that the school had offered to buy the Qualcomm Murphy Stadium site for $68 million. Quoting the same 35,000 seats, Young Pharaoh says the new SDSU stadium in Mission Valley will be able to expand from 35,000 to 70,000. I am so not in favor of that. I have long believed that the best place for the Chargers is downtown, right next to Petco Park. Okay? Young Pharaoh says, last question would be, and thank you for the time, your opinion looking down the road, what's the chance the Chargers will ever be back in San Diego? Quite good. Quite good, because there's that void there. If they start playing in the Rams Stadium and it just isn't the right ambiance and people don't show up, once the novelty wears off, after 3 years, okay, boom. I know you're saying the hoteliers will block downtown. And this, to me, is where Dean has to really alter his tune, because that's a Dean versus the hoteliers thing. And in my mind, I'm trying to partner. Well, you said 4.5 earthquake where? Right now, where? Let me see. Tell me where the earthquake is so I can know I'm not shifting gears. You said earthquake. Oh, Bay Area. 4.5? Whoa! Hold on a second. Well, let me go to USGS. And to think I was supposed to go home. Hold on a second. USGS. Latest earthquakes. Felt in Brentwood. I see the dot. Ooh. Whoa! 1 kilometer southeast of Pleasant Hill. That's where I live. I don't live in Pleasant Hill. I live near there. Hold on a second here, folks. He's right. Look at this. Boom. 1 kilometer southeast of Pleasant Hill, California. That's the Bay Area. 4.7 on the Richter scale. Ooh. That's a sizable one. We haven't had that one like that in a while. I mean, that's Let me see let me get some more data here. Let's see here. Interactive map. Here it is. Take a look, folks. Okay. Interactive map. See, that's it. That's way not far from me, because I live right, let's see if I can zoom in here. Oh, wow. Okay. That's the earthquake. That's Oakland. Okay. Not far. Wow. Not far. And that's 4.7. That's right where Walnut Creek is. Holy moly. Okay. Shifting gears here, folks. All right, folks. I'm going to postpone this one. I got to check and see. Yeah. I got to call back to the Bay Area and see what's happening. All right. I will thank you for the note there. I may even start a live stream and just start this about the earthquake just to see it. I gotta go. I'll see you. All right, bye.